So we go into extreme communities and look at how we can actually use sport as a medicine to drive change for the children of today, but also for the future of that community, to change their whole fabric, give them a bit of blue sky, and actually realistically give them a leadership model that will actually move them out of the space they're in.
Well, this is our first year of running Leconfield Wine's McLaren Vale Marathon, so we're really planting an acorn. We've got just over 800 runners signed up at the moment. They're looking to engage with the local community, the local business community, and just add that vibrancy to the area.
This is Legends with Bevo. Thanks to Anytime Fitness Glenelg, Renelec Electrical Services, Tiger Tennis, and SMS Gas Installations.
This episode of Legends with Bevo is proudly sponsored by Kookaburra Homes. Kookaburra Homes have been awarded South Australia's most professional home builder 2 years in a row. They're a true SA success story and are passionate about other South Australians sharing their success stories. Well, what a special privilege it is today on Legends with Bevo to be joined by Matt Evans and also Roger Rasheed. Matt is the founder of Great Southern Runs. Did I pronounce that correctly, Matt?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, beautiful. And also a big part of the Leconfield Wine's McLaren Vale Marathon, which we're going to get to in a moment. And Roger, great to have you on the show today. Now, obviously, the Roger Rasheed Sports Foundation is a major sponsor for this year's event, Rog. And so we'll get to you in terms of how your foundation's involved in that in a moment.
No problems.
But Matt, tell us more about the event happening on the 10th and the 11th of April. It's not just a marathon. There's lots of great stuff happening. Tell us more about it.
That's right. It's primarily a running event, but we've got a lot more happening around the runs over the weekend. We've got runs on Saturday and Sunday, but also at the winery, we've got markets all weekend, just with some sporting goods and health and wellbeing stalls, and also showcasing a lot of local produce and arts and crafts. We've got a kids zone. So on Saturday afternoon, we'll have a petting zoo. So it'll be a nice family-friendly event. And then after the runs are finished on Saturday, we go into an outdoor cinema. We've got a kids movie, Wallace and Gromit, followed by Forrest Gump for the general viewers.
Wow, that's all happening, mate. So.
And then Sunday afternoon, after all the running's been done, everyone can kick back on the lawns. We'll have some presentations and a couple of local musicians, and everyone can enjoy that glass of wine they deserve.
That sounds absolutely terrific, Matty. How can people get involved? Is there a Facebook page and stuff that people can just jump on to find out more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just search for Leconfield Wine's McLaren Vale Marathon or visit greatsouthernruns.com, and there's still plenty of time to sign up.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome event, and I'll get to obviously how it's going to be such a big part of the Fleurieu Peninsula and bringing back tourism to the Fleurieu Peninsula. We'll get to that in a moment. But Roger, obviously the Roger Rasheed Sports Foundation is doing wonderful things in terms of helping out the community, and great stuff around South Australia, which we all need after the COVID year we've had. Tell us more about your foundation and their involvement in this year's event.
Yeah, well, I'm not running. That's the first thing. So let's just put that on the table. I know there's different areas, the half marathon and there's smaller events, but I think I'll just enjoy the festivities. Look, I have a board member, Kate Abraham, who's a fond runner. She's organised our groups to go to the New York Marathon, so we've had some big groups attend there, which is an outstanding experience. And this also, in your own backyard, is a great experience. It's just a festival where you can actually take the whole family. So for us to be attached to it and supporting it, I think is excellent. So what Matt's doing is, stepping out of his, you got to step out of your comfort zone to create one of these and actually take some risks. And Matt's done that, and it's a beautiful part of South Australia, obviously. And for us to jump on board, we're down south at the moment with a big development at Christies Downs. So it's close to our hearts, that's that region of South Australia right now. And so for my foundation to be there, we have some runners that are running in it. They'll generate a little bit of they'll generate some funds that will go back towards our programs. And so we're pretty we're stoked to be around. And as I said, I'll be there. I don't know, I'll be throwing water at people or doing something. Well, whatever it needs, I'll be there.
And a bit of history about the Roger Rasheed Foundation, because it's obviously a really important thing that you've got there happening. And tell us how it all came about.
Yeah, look, it's just the bottom line is I wanted to being coaching globally and actually being at the very pointy end of a world sport. There's obviously you get a lot of privileges attached to that, and so but you never take that for granted. And you also got to look at the other end of the spectrum where there's a lot of kids that never touch sport. I mean, never get the opportunities to actually follow a pathway that can give them a lot of great life lessons. And so and I'm very passionate about that. I came from, my parents came from a country, from Lebanon, where there was a lot of, it was torn apart, and so there was a lot of, there's a lot of areas where people are struggling, and I've had a lot of family. I've got a lot of family over there that have done it very hard as well, so extremely hard. So to give opportunities, I think, is a privilege. You're lucky to be able to do that, and I think, but when I say a privilege, it should be something that we do look out to do, is give people opportunities. And if you can start with the youth, they then give you a world of excitement, I think, because that's all they want. They just want an opportunity. So we go into extreme communities and look at how we can actually use sport as a medicine to drive change in for the children of today, but also for the future of that community, to change their whole fabric, give them a bit of blue sky, and actually realistically give them a leadership model that will actually move them out of the space they're in. And generally they'll, we're putting our arms around them and saying, come with us for the ride.
What a wonderful idea. That's so the Roger Rasheed Sports Foundation, if people want to get involved and support this really good charity, they just jump on, there's a website for
they can go to Roger Rasheed Sports Foundation.com.au and they can put their yearly wages into that. That's okay.
No, on a serious
note, deductible.
It's doing great things, and it's really, really awesome that you're a part of this, what's going to be a fantastic event on 10th and 11th of April. And Leconfield Wines, what an awesome sponsor to have as a major sponsor as well. I remember a couple of years ago watching Farnsey at Leconfield Wines. What a great venue that is. And how'd you end up getting them involved, Matty?
Well, it was quite an obvious choice, really. Looking at the beautiful grounds they've got there and such an expansive space, it was quite an easy choice. They've got definitely room, having, like you said, down the green down there a couple of times, and also a lot of space for car parking. They're just on the edge of McLaren Vale, so we're not going into the town and disrupting local business too much during the day. But when we approached them, the team there were really, really supportive and really engaged with it. They definitely saw the value in getting people outdoors, getting people being healthy and active. And also they like a lot of the family-friendly aspects of the event. So it's not wine and tourism isn't just for the hardcore drinkers. It's about coming out and enjoying the area and other things going on.
And Roger, you touched on it before, the Christies Downs facility that you're looking to be a part of raising money for. What's involved there? Tell us more about that.
Look, it's a bit of a blank canvas. It's 37,000 square metres of land. So I approached the City of Onkaparinga Council and trying to find a space which might work to drop our IP in and drop our platform in. And so we came up with this facility, and so we're now, stage one has been completed. It's taken a couple of years to get to the first opportunity to stick a shovel in and actually turn some soil. So $3.5 million development it is, and it will have it's got an existing community centre on it, but then there's just land, and so they do a great job there. What we're doing to that is transforming the whole thing. So we have now a skate park which we've just taken the fences off. The skate park's ready, but we've still got, that's stage one of the facility. So we had to sort of, so they were a group called Convict, and they build the best skate parks in Australia, and they're world renowned, and they've just built, we lifted the fence off that last week, and they said it's their best skate park they've ever built in the country. I gave them I needed them to give a lot of wow, collaborate, so it joined into the climate of the ocean as well, and the sea. So they actually brought a lot of that into the facility as well. It's got what it does. So we want to have a national championships there. We're looking at that at the moment, and so that's stage one. We're also in the middle of building 4 tennis courts. There'll be a junior oval. That'll be multi-purpose courts. There'll be nature play, kindergartens there, more community stuff will go through the community centre for kids. They'll come and get fed after school, and then we'll put programs in there 3 days a week where they'll get free coaching on the site at large with programs from skating to whatever the sports are going to be. So they generally are going to be, this space is going to be activated for the whole community, but more so for the children first, and the community come and engage it. So yeah, it's a massive project which will probably be open around September fully. We'll do our full opening around September. So, but you can go and enjoy the skate park, which already there are hundreds of people. Last weekend there were hundreds down there coming from all around South Australia because the word got out that the fences were down, and so they were all the best skaters and the people on bikes, and so it was quite amazing. I was getting pictures from people saying you wouldn't believe the crowd.
That's awesome.
So it's already doing it's already serving a purpose. So we're really excited about that. The City of Onkaparinga, the council, state government who are partners as well, and Office Rec and Sports, so that they've all jumped on board with it as well. And so and then as I said, it's going to change for about $100 to $120 a year. That allows one child to do a full year sports program.
Oh, gee whiz.
Not a bad program, is it? So,
and obviously it's so important now to get kids off their screens and get them out, because when we were kids, just one of the best parts about being a kid was going out and playing and meeting new friends and being out there exercising, wasn't it? And
it's more than sport, so we just use it as medicine, really. So just the engagement, the ability to engage, the interaction, how to problem solve, how to just everything, to actually feel like someone cares. The mental health, so the health risks that are with kids in these extreme areas is enormous. It outweighs everything else. So that changes dramatically. So there's we've just advertised now nationally for it. There'll be a PhD student that will deliver a PhD for the Roger Rasheed Sports Foundation. We'll have an index that will attach to this whole site. On the site and externally as well, and the site will be fully smart activated as well. So it's a pretty cool facility. Yeah,
that is wonderful. Can't wait till September to see it up and running, Rog. Yeah. Great stuff with that. Thanks. And speaking of important things that are happening in the region, Matt, we spoke about this off air as well. Mm-hmm. The last 12 months, no one needs to talk about how tough it's been for everyone, but obviously it's really important giving back to the regions and the Fleurieu Peninsula as well. Such a great region, and talk to us about this being such a significant event and also bringing back more significant events to the region. Why that's so important.
That's right. Well, this is our first year of running the Leconfield Wines McLaren Vale Marathon, so we're really planting an acorn. We've got just over 800 runners signed up at the moment, and we're expecting there's always a last-minute rush. People leave things to the last minute while they can't decide if they're going to be injured or get a better offer, so you always get a bit of a surge in those last week or two. But a group of us from our running club went down to the Great Ocean Road a couple of years ago, and they have a similar format where they have kind of more family-friendly runs on the Saturday, the longer runs on the Sunday, and a few other events around the runs. And they have something like 7,500 to 8,000 runners over that weekend. So coming back to home, down to McLaren Vale and the Fleurieu coast, you look around and it's an absolutely beautiful region. We're so lucky. McLaren Vale is obviously nationally recognised and world renowned. So when people hear that there's a running event on, it's like, that could be quite a nice destination to run to. So we've got our courses are going out through the vines with views down to the coast. We've got the backdrop of the southern Mount Lofty Ranges. So it's an absolutely beautiful event to run in. But we've also looked to partner with local businesses and tourism where we can, just to encourage visitors to come to the region and really experience it. We deliberately chose around this autumn time because summer's over, so there's a bit more or a bit lower occupancy in some of the beds and restaurants. So we're hoping to bring people in who might want to come and stay for a longer weekend. With the family-friendly aspects of the event, it's not something that you just, quite a lot of running events I do. I'm up at 5, drive to the start line, do the run, have a chat afterwards, maybe buy a coffee, and then you're home that afternoon. So hopefully we're going to be encouraging people to come and visit the area. This year we've got over 50 interstate runners. There's a runner from every state and territory in the country, which is great. And also when you see the registrations rolling in, they're from every corner of the state. We've got people from Port Lincoln, Mount Gambier, Ceduna, you name it, they're coming. So
that's so good.
So we're really excited. As City of Onkaparinga have been supporting the development that Roger spoke about down at Christies Downs, they've also really seen the value in the events, and they're looking to engage with the local community, the local business community, and just add that vibrancy to the area and look at new and innovative ways that we can bring people into our region.
And also, one thing I found really interesting in doing a bit of research and finding out more about the marathon is that there's actually a kids-friendly race. Tell us more about that one.
Absolutely. On the Saturday, we've got it kicks off with a 6K, and then there's a 13K at around lunchtime. But then later in the afternoon, starting at 3 o'clock, we've got the City of Onkaparinga Mile. It's not just for kids. it's really targeting to be an inclusive event. So if you're older, you might have health issues, you might have a disability. Everyone can get involved. It's really about participation and inclusion. It's not a timed event, but everyone will start on the same start line that the marathoners start on the following morning. They'll run part of the course, loop back into Leconfield Wines, and then they'll finish under the same arch down the finish chute, and they'll get a medal just like they'll see mum and dad doing or friends and families later in the weekend.
Terrific. That's so good, because obviously, some marathons or some events you just have purely the marathon, and then like you mentioned before, you just go home. But I love the fact there's so much different stuff, and it caters for people of all different age groups, different demographics, different backgrounds. I think that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. The strapline is there's a run for everyone, and there really is.
Yeah. And now, Roger, we'll get, obviously, you've been involved in tennis coaching for a long period of time. We spoke about this before off air. For those people that don't know, you've coached some of the biggest names, Leighton Hewitt, Gareth Monfries, Joe Wilfred-Songa, the list goes on. Also, you're doing a bit of coaching in terms of consulting now. Explain more about that and how we can find out more about this.
Yeah, I think, generally, to be a tennis coach at the very pointy end of the game, you need to offer legitimate time to that. That's a business, and you need to offer that to your client, and when I'm in, I'm all in. So that's a 35, 40 week gig. So now that I don't do that because of those restraints and wanting to be dad and be home more and see that journey of my daughter, so now I consult into the sporting space, not necessarily just tennis, but just holistically, and I've always done that. But now I offer that facility a lot more. So my job's really been about performance, getting you to be the best performer personally first, and then whatever attaches you. So it's your personal performance versus a person. And once I've got that under control, then if it's tennis, it's tennis. If it's if it's an Olympic aerialist, it's an Olympic aerialist, which I'm currently helping at the moment. So, and the list goes on. So, or if it's someone who owns their business, a global business, to a local business that has two people that work for them. So from the end of the day, it's all about personal performance first. And that's what I've really identified a long time ago, that the best version of you allows you to deliver on that day the best product. We don't always get the best version of us on that day, but when I say the ultimate version, but what we're looking for is just the best version on that day, and how can we make that better more often? And that's really what my platform's been about. So I do that now on a greater scale, because I've got that time to actually deliver that more. So it's just through my website, rogerrasheed.com, and I've always loved the platform of performance and personal performance. So now I get to help in different ranges, which is great.
And you're one of the lucky ones that got to go to the Australian Open this year as a commentator, and you're actually there when there was no crowds. What was it actually like, and what was the feeling? Because it was quite eerie watching it on television. Yeah,
it was great. I mean, great to get World Sport up, and well done to for Tennis Australia to deliver that for the players from the whole playing group to actually and the administration to actually sit there and actually go through what they had to do to deliver it. Not easy, regardless of where you are on the pecking order. It's just not easy to sit there and do that. But they wanted to put the show on, and they were very committed to it from the players, from Tennis Australia's point of view. And so hats off to them and to the state government as well, for the Victorian State Government and Health, for doing the right thing. As a commentator, to be able to commentate there, it was interesting, because the energy. What normally surrounds an Australian Open or a major event, or Olympic Games or whatever it may be, an AFL Grand Final, is the energy of the audience, and they bring or a New York Marathon, the energy of the room, and that's the crowd. And then all of a sudden they take you for the ride, so they create the experience, and so do the players, but they add the wow to the experience, and so that was what we missed. Through the commentary, we obviously had to give the same, and you could do that because once you were there, you were locked into the game as a you're watching the game, but you miss the wow of when there was an outstanding bit of play. There would be the oohs and ahs and the roar of a crowd where it was that, and the eerie feeling of walking through the streets of Melbourne where you didn't actually have to look to see if there was a car that crossed the road. You just walked, and that is weird. So it's like one of those movies that you see Manhattan in New York where the world's just stopped, and you and two people plus a dog is still alive, and you go, right, we're walking through that. So basically it was the same thing. So Yeah, it was quite strange. It was quite mentally quite exhausting because you can see how mentally there are people that don't cope in that space because it's so different that, that's where the mental health kicks in, is that how do I cope in this space because it's not my norm, and it's quite eerie to deal with dead time, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so it was quite interesting.
Yeah, thankfully, obviously, only was for a few days, and then we got to have a crowd for the final. That was the most important thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good. And then I came here and stayed here for 7 days at home where I couldn't get out until the border came down. So that was like, and again, and so that was quite strange as well. So after a couple of days thinking, okay, I've done enough laps of the pool and I've been in the gym for 35 hours and I've done enough work in my office, so what next?
That's actually interesting to hear that, because not all of us get to actually have that 7-day quarantine experience. So thanks for sharing that.
I was hoping it was less, but we had to wait till the borders came down. So at the moment I've got a couple of athletes that are doing 14 days a day 5 from coming from Europe that are sitting. So I work with them daily to actually sort of to plan actually staying through. It's a hard time. It's a hard gig. When, just sitting in that one space, it's not. Yeah, whether an athlete or anyone else, it's just a hard space to be in. It's solitary confinement.
Yeah, a lot of Netflix, I guess.
Yeah, but it's still just. Yeah, it's a tough gig. Yeah.
I think that 36 hours we had in November was bad enough that you couldn't go out and walk the dog. I was laughing in the dining room that day.
Yeah.
Makes you appreciate how tough Melbourne, when they had it for 6 months or something with pretty much a lockdown was, and to think they just went through that and we just had 3 days. It's just amazing, isn't it, when you compare? So
lucky.
Yeah. Well, Matt Evans and Roger Rasheed, thanks so much for joining us today on Legends with Bevo. Really looking forward to this Leconfield Wines McLaren Vale Marathon. It's a bit of a mouthful. We got there in the end. It's going to be a ripper, obviously sponsored by Roger Rasheed Sports Foundation. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Good luck, Matt.
Thanks, Roger. See you down there.